everyone, Ivy Lee Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir's Silent Gods. For today's video, we're gonna go ahead and give you an ultimate beginner's guide. I'm gonna do my best to go through everything fairly quickly, but also try to cover a lot of ground. Before I get into my ultimate beginner's guide, I want to give a bit of an intro in case some of you guys are brand new to Dragonheir overall, or haven't even downloaded the game yet and you're still trying to get a feel for it. So this game is a tabletop inspired fantasy RPG. It's very lore heavy. There's wonderful story that goes along while you explore the open world sandbox, and there's 200 heroes almost now to play with, and the graphics are just gorgeous to go along with those heroes too. There are so many stunning subtleties that makes me really appreciate the work that's gone into this game. So it is linked with not only typical PC and Android, but iOS you can download as well, and Mac. And it actually was featured for Apple's WWDC, so you know it's up with Apple's latest graphic technology. So many games kind of leave Apple to the side, but don't worry if you are an Apple or Mac user, iOS, they got you covered. But I am so happy to be back for Season 1. I'm loving the improvements to the game. It was already beautiful, and they just keep making it more and more beautiful. If you haven't downloaded it already, of course I have a link in the description and the pinned comment for the download. Get on it, give it a try. I really love it because I feel like it has a nice balance of giving you fun, creative stuff to do that feels different than other games, but it's not overly time-consuming to where you feel stressed out. I think it makes a great side game or a great game for just people that maybe have a little bit more limited time compared to other games that just try to suck your life away and make you aimlessly grind all day long. Nobody really has time for that. The game is also on Epic Games and will be coming to Steam. But in the meantime, go ahead and use that link for download. It will take you to the appropriate device depending on what you're on. Don't miss out though, guys. This is such a fun game. It is the second blockbuster from Newverse. You guys might already know Marvel Snap. That was a huge success. Well, this one is going to be as well, and they are doing a great job so far. But yeah, come join me and so many other content creators in the community playing this wonderful game full of puzzles, a story, action-packed battles, a really diverse bit of gameplay, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. But yeah, let's get on to my beginner guide. Alright, so I already have an ultimate beginner's guide that a lot of people have been watching and commenting on, but that was from last season, and honestly, some of the advice has changed. So while a lot of this information is gonna be repetitive, I did choose to use my lovely note sheet I left for myself last season. I did change some things, so please definitely still hang out with me, see what we got to say, and yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, I'm actually going to reference my video I already made, because this is the best way for me to show it and so you could see it. So I have this video, must know before your main character creation. Let's talk about starting your account from the beginning. What is the dealio, right? What is the deal? So you need to be able to decide who you're going to choose, right? And I have a video specifically about this topic, talking about which character to pick, which attributes are the best, how does the class affect things, the different type of classes here, and yeah, kind of how that all plays in together, and then a brief mention of the elements, but then we get into the elements a lot later. So this video is a little bit more detailed of what I'm going to give you right now as a TLDR, but so I definitely suggest watching that if you want more info. But the TLDR of when you're starting your account, number one, you can choose what server you're on, so if you want to try to play with your friends, you can try to get on the same servers together, but unfortunately the servers get pretty full, and depending on how they pop out new servers, it's not a guarantee. So definitely just try to get on a newer server if possible, so it's not super flooded when you're starting, and so you can have the most fair advantage for sake of the season. Last year was like last season it was like every day was a new server popping, so A little less now because they're smaller, or they expanded their servers, but yeah. But other than choosing your server here, you're gonna have to choose your main character. And the best thing is just pick what you like, have fun with it. I love that they added the lizard folk. You could change the color of the lizard, it's so cool. The human, I didn't realize how much they changed as well. The brunette version of the human looks so nice, and I love the clothes. So I wouldn't mind picking the human again, but they all have some nice quirks. There's tons of outfit options. Unfortunately, you can't change genders yet, which I really wish you could, but just pick what you like, because the only thing you're really getting when it comes to the main character creation that's different depending on which one you pick is 1 or 2 points into like these different classes, or the different, attributes here, which you're gonna get points to adjust your attributes anyway. So of course my lizard folk starts with strength, which is like the least important thing to get. But hey, it's fine. I got points. I put them into intelligence right away. And dexterity. Those are the 2 I focus and I think are the most important. And so it's not really that big of a deal to be 1 or 2 points off for sake of the other characters you choose. Just pick who you like. Pick what's gonna make you happy, what brings you joy. As mentioned, there's elemental things to talk about with your main character as well. So you can switch your element from at any time, before every battle, anytime you want. No big deal at all. And it's really great. So the TLDR is fire for the elemental, for your main character, is going to be more of just a simple, basic damage type build. Ice is going to be really good damage with this battle skill. It smacks hard. But also a shield for all allies with the ultimate. But the shield is based on attack, so it's really easy just to build your main character with a full attack focus. And then lightning is going to be a little bit of damage, not quite as hard hitting as the fire, but also brings some crowd control with blind and stun. So there's kind of different uses for everything, which makes it kind of fun. I think lightning was always considered to be the weakest for the main character, but if you're doing a lightning and radiant team and you want that full synergy focus, well, that's going to be helpful and come in handy. So either way, it's still really good to just kind of match up with what you're doing. But overall, I have to say, don't underestimate the power of switching your main character's element to help you progress in content. If you get stuck in something and you keep dying, this character as ice, just using for the shield, even if it's not part of your synergy, is a huge benefit and can help you progress really far. So day 1 is going to be very story heavy. The first few days, everything, honestly. When you're over here in the Chaos Universum and you're walking around these areas, I mean, Chaos Clypsedra area here, the Fountain Interplanar. I love how they have your server as like the name of the exit where you're going into a different domain. This area is very tutorial heavy, and then you'll come in and pop over to the main world and you'll start exploring and meeting new characters and starting to progress. Just absolutely talk to every single NPC. Any single thing that pops up that has a little ... above it that you can interact with, do it, because you'll be surprised to find that there are so many things that trigger side quests that are not obvious. Like, just because there's not a purple dot next to an NPC when you're trying to have a conversation does not mean that that is not actually like super impactful for a side quest, something you might have been stuck on, triggering something like the poetry page quest, or even finishing some of the little side things that show up in the camp quests that we get. Speaking of like day 1 and going around and talking to everybody, one thing in the open world that I really want to suggest is your map. Don't underutilize the value of your map. So right now, I just had a tower defense, and most of these tower defenses are too hard by the time we first see them. So what I do is I come in where I'm at, I click it, I add an enemy thing, I say tower. And then boom, I know where that tower is that I need to go back and clear later. Once I clear it, I delete it from the map so it's no longer something that's showing up. I do the same thing for the NPCs that you can fight that will show up as like level 65, level 85, level 105. I do that on my map as well, so that I know I have enemies to go back to and fight. There was this dual one. There's another tower here. Like, I try to label my map, and then I know where stuff I never finished getting rewards for can be easily accessed. As you're progressing through, you want your focus to always be the main quest. So you're always going to be following the story and what it wants you to do. And every day you're going to get capped if you grind really hard. If you are a fast clicker, if you are a story skipper, you're going to get to the point where you are just stuck every single day. This game is time gated. There are level caps every single day. So if you run into that, don't worry, it's not just you. You're not like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I get past level 10 on day 1? That's what it is. Level 14 on day 2 is as far as you can go. I can't remember all of the level caps, but maybe that's something we could have spreadsheeted out so people know. But every day you're going to come across commissions, which are really important. Always do your commissions. Those are the biggest boost of experience. And then you can try to progress as far as you possibly can in your adventure chapter trials here. Once you get to something like yesterday, we could not purify the altar of withering. That was behind something time gated because the gate wouldn't let you pass. For example. That's the kind of thing that you're going to have to do the next day. So and then you'll progress a bit more and get stuck again, progress again more, get stuck again. That's kind of how it is laid out. So I know time gating can be annoying, but honestly, I kind of like it. It keeps me on my toes in the sense of not, or the opposite. It keeps me chill. It makes me not have to feel super stressed. But if you're playing pretty chill and you're only playing a couple hours the first day or less, don't worry, you're not going to get time gated for a while. But if you are a grinder, you will get time gated and you will have less to do. So don't feel like you have to obsessively grind the first day, because you're just going to get stuck at level 10 anyway. Now, regarding the first few days of gameplay, there's some really key events we need to talk about. So this first one here, Clepsydra Torrent, this is extremely valuable. You can rebuild your heroes. So let's say, like, I started with my fire people because I really wanted to build Flora finally. I didn't use her at all last season. So I built a wild team with Flora and Tunnelnon. And then I realized, you know what, all that single target stuff is not the best for early game, trying to clear all my goblin layers. I need more AoE. So I actually switched my team to Necrotic, and now I'm having a blast with that. But also, not just for the sake of trying different team synergies for for general content, but you can try things for specific content. So let's say you have a fire team like I was. You wanted to do wild with your poison, wild and poison, or fire and poison as your synergy. But damn, it's so hard to do level 2 with the fire. And it is. Fire is the hardest of the domains. The flame domain is the hardest by far. You really get smacked with all those burns and the burn explosion from the boss. So you need to go make another team that's not fire to be able to easily beat that. The other ones you can get by, like, okay, Frost or Ice and Necrotic. The Frost domain. I can do this with my Ice and Necrotic team at stage 2, but I can't do the Flame domain at stage 2 with what I had for the fire and poison. So it depends on the dungeon. Some are easier than others. But that's why I'm actually really happy I went with Ice and Necrotic, because I can farm level 2 these first few days until we get better to maybe push to 3. And I could go farm the Flame domain for my other team that I want to build in the future. Much easier because you don't have the elemental disadvantages. So with that in mind, you could go literally, all right, I'm going to go build an Ice and Necrotic team right now. You could reset everyone you are currently using, go build that team, farm what you need, then switch to your team that you actually wanted to play if that was not it. So you can actually just go through and focus a certain area, grind it out, push to the highest level you can with the most efficient team for that, reset your heroes, switch to the next thing you need to grind. That's something, but keep in mind, only grind what the story is telling you to do. Don't just start aimlessly farming something like, oh, I really want to level this character up. I'm going to go do 10 battles in the Goblin just because I feel like it. Don't do that. We are very limited on stamina daily. So if you did that, you might get stuck and not be able to do all of a certain thing. Like next page could be do like 10 battles in the Flame domain or one of the domains, and I already used all my stamina for the day. So I'm stuck just because I used all my stamina already. Unfortunately, stamina does regenerate pretty slow, so don't just go farming randomly early on. follow the guides. Follow the main quest. Follow the commissions, which those are going to be easy. They don't involve your stamina. But follow your chapter trials here and use this as your guide of what to work on before you go blasting all your resources. The other event that is really important to talk about for day 1 is Adventure Gathering. So you're going to get a bond code. Once you hit level 6, you can get a bond code where you can share your code to other people. But before you hit level 6, you will be able to click in the middle and put in someone else's code that is a bond code. You need to do this before level 6. Before you get your own bond code, you can try to bond with someone else so you help them to get free rewards, and you will also get extra rewards as well. I already did this before. Adventure bond requirements not met. Like, I don't even know what they're trying to say here. But I did it last season, so like I couldn't bond with someone else again because I had already had a bonding set up on this character creation, I think. So that's, I think, why. But I could still give my code to other people and hope I have more people hit level 25, which is what I'm going to give my code on this account to my free-to-play. Why not? For my free-to-play series. And that will help. And then my free-to-play series, I can give it my code to you guys that are also doing my free-to-play series to play along with me. And we could all get some free Heliolite die that we can't use because it's a Starlight die only challenge. But hey, we can use it in Season 2, right? Anyway, this is just a really nice way to get some bonus rewards and up to 3 Heliolite die just by sharing your code to other people. So definitely help each other out if you're just starting to play or if you're starting a new account because you want to play multiple. This game's definitely an easy one to play multiple because you can only do so much every day. If you want it to be your main game, you're going to get bored really quick once you finish the story. So you're probably going to want to play 2 accounts, have a little bit of fun. And you don't forget to use that Adventure Gathering along with it. Also, if you are playing close to global launch here, we still have 8 days left as of my recording, probably only 5 or 6 when this actually goes live, not quite sure. But you can get Twitch drops right now through just watching streamers live, but you have to properly bind your account. So don't forget to take advantage of this. It's just a way to get free stuff, more free stuff. We want Wormaro, we want summons, we want all the things. So this is just a little thing to remind you. Yeah, don't forget about some easy free rewards. It doesn't take long. You just lurk in someone's chat, claim a reward. After you claim a reward, it moves on to the next reward. And then you can claim that while lurking in someone's chat, and it's a fun way to support content creators. Now we definitely have to talk about summons. Summons are very scarce in this game compared to other games. In this game, you cannot summon a legendary from the lower tier summon. You can only summon up to epic. You can only get a legendary from the Heliolite die or the horn if you're extremely lucky. But Heliolite die is the way to get legendaries, and we don't get a ton of it. So just keep that in mind, set your expectations a little bit low, and don't be obsessed with only getting legendaries. This is not the kind of game where you should overly focus on legendaries only, because the epics and rares in this game are very, very good, and you can do all of the PvE content with 0 legendaries. Last year, I had Urion and Sutha, and I barely used them. I ended up not using any legendaries at all through the very end, even though I had pulled Flora and Durango and some others as well. I didn't even use them. I just used my no Lego team all last season, and it was quite fun. I definitely could have pushed it a lot harder and got better gear, but hey, they've added so many new characters to the game, so the focus does not need to be legendaries. Also, on the topic of summoning here, there are going to be summon events. I did take the time to make a special video. Also, speaking of videos, I should probably call out what I just posted today as of this recording, but a summon event warning. I do have a separate video breaking out the details on this channel here with what you should know before you summon. Before you summon on any of the banners, if you're debating if I should I pull on that banner instead, watch my video on summoning. I will give the quick advice of just saying the pities are not combined, which it does say in the summon details. The guaranteed number of summons for each event is calculated independently. So while there's a 35 guarantee, if you switch from this banner to this banner, that starts a whole new set of guarantees for the pity system in this game. So that's the main thing to keep in mind, but there's lots of other things to talk about regarding the events, if they're good or not, regarding this massive 80 summons, but that's a whole nother topic, which is why I have a special video on it. So there is a dupe system in this game as well. I did make a video on the dupe system that's old but still completely relevant from my last channel. But when you summon and you get duplicates, you're going to get this essence of creation. So if you already have maxed out, well, or you'll get something else, which I'll show you, but you'll get Essence of Creation, and Essence of Creation is used to upgrade your artifacts. You'll start to only get Essence of Creation once you have maxed out purchasing all of the artifacts. So pretty much there's going to be this artifact shop. You'll be able to buy out every single artifact eventually in the artifact shop with those blues. So if you get a dupe rare, you're going to get a blue imprint stone and you can purchase from the rare shop. If you get a dupe epic, you're going to get a purple imprint stone and you can purchase from the shop. If you get a dupe legendary, you can get a gold imprint stone here and you can purchase from the legendary shop. But keep in mind that the legendary soul imprints are also used to empower a character. I can't decide what I'm doing with one of my dupes. I actually have a couple dupes, and you can use these souls as inspiration to make your one character better. So someone like this character that hits really hard and can be like a monster might be worth actually using my souls to inspire him and make this one guy amazing versus using it to buy an artifact. But the artifacts in this game are amazing, and it might be of more value to just take a dupe of a mediocre character and buy an artifact instead of empowering them. It really comes down to if you think you're going to use the character or not, and if not, 100% come in here and buy the Witch's Remains. Defense penalty 2 that can go on all enemies if you're using it on a character with an AoE. It's just such a good artifact, being able to put decreased defense on your enemies, especially the boss fights. It makes it so much faster, and it's a huge, huge skill. But they've added a ton of new artifacts to the shop that are amazing. Other than that one, they've also added some to the Epic shop, which I've bought out the whole Epic shop. Because guys, right now I am on my Season 0 account, so I look like a Kraken that's done everything so far because I already got to carry over some resources. So that's why this is the way it is. But again, the Crown of the Unclean is probably going to be forever my favorite epic artifact for the same reason. Another way to get defense penalty, which is the only way you can get it in this game. But I am going to try to do a bit of a breakdown on the artifact shop, pointing out my favorite and the ones I think are the strongest artifacts for different types of characters or just in general. And that can be a huge debate. There's even exclusive artifacts that some of the best high-end characters actually have. So that's really fun too. But just another element and another thing to think about with the game and the summons is even if you summon dupes, at least you have uses for them. When it comes to forming your team now, let's talk about that. So, forming your team. You're going to be doing things based on these sort of synergies. So you always want 3 heroes, at least, for the elemental affinity bonuses. This season, it is Fire and Poison, Lightning and Radiant, and Necrotic and Ice. Now, every season it's going to change, which I think is really fun because it's going to encourage you to put different teams together for synergy's sake. But usually you're going to have 3 DPS of a synergy, and then you could use 2 supports of any element just for the sake of, for help, but they don't have to be of the same synergy to benefit. But yeah, that's a really big key in this game is synergizing things, whether it be synergizing a summon team with multiple summon units, or a wild team with multiple wild units, but also focusing an elemental team that's going to make the most sense. So early on, you're definitely going to have your adventure. That's kind of your swing vote. They can switch to other elements to pair up to make that 3-person bond. So it can be really smart early on to try to pick a couple, like pick a core 5 people. Like I did 5 people of this synergy. Once you got it enough where you can start to farm, then maybe build 2 more people of a completely different, 2 more DPS of a completely different elemental bonus. So that way you can easily farm the elemental dungeons. As you progress in the elemental dungeons, they get more and more disadvantages when you use the same element to farm for that same material. It makes it harder and harder, so you want to have a varied roster to be able to farm. And that's probably the easiest way, is just to have 2 extra DPS that are of a different element ready to swap into a team with your adventurer, and then you could use 2 other supports of any element to back them up. There's also a quick tip here. I gotta say, ascend wisely. So with the adventurer, like, okay, right now I am using a necrotic and ice team. So if I'm gonna upgrade my adventurer when I had to, I already did. But if I wanted to upgrade my adventurer with the... Oh, where is it? Who's not upgraded yet? Who is not upgraded yet? I started doing everybody. Everyone's already 3? Oh gosh. Everyone's already 3. I can't even show it. Okay, but when you go from like 2-star to 3-star, and you have to use the Ascension materials, don't use the Ascension materials for your adventurer that you need for everybody else. Be smart. Like, let's say, okay, if I'm fire and... or if I'm ice and necrotic, I want to save my ice ones for Voresh and for Urion. I don't want to use them on my adventurer. So what you would do is you would switch your adventurer to something else that you want to go farm instead, and use those materials to upgrade with the Ascension crystals from the dungeon instead, because you're not focused on that one. You can just go farm a little bit in that dungeon and be able to save the ones you actually need for your main core team, and let the adventurer be a swing one. Early on, we have to talk about gear. Gear is gonna come slowly, guys. Don't overly stress it. You're gonna have all the boring stuff and be like, why can't I get the good stuff? It will come. Just don't stress the first couple of days too much. Now, in this field of burrows, I know that's where we start to pick up our first couple pieces of the blue rare gear. Along with the story, I think Odd One said it was in a chest. I can't remember. I haven't done it yet. I actually didn't do everything I could do yesterday as of this recording. I'm recording on a day 2 right now, actually. But yeah, this you'll start to get gear slowly, and it takes a little bit before you can really farm it, because at first you haven't even unlocked the dungeons that allow you to farm for gear for real. So don't stress too much. Just constantly check your camp, because you're gonna get rewards. So once you're able to get the hammer to unlock this part of the forge, keep an eye out for when you start to get these materials and just check back in. But you are pretty safe to just go ahead and do some batches of these just to get the stats you need. You're gonna get a ton of iron ore. It's really not a concern. And if you run out, you can just run around the world and gather more. You can mark it on the map where it's best to farm it every day, and you should not have issues to forge. Alright, so that kind of covers the gear. And the gear, obviously there's different rarities, but overall, simple as that. Don't stress about the gear too much, and keep in mind, flat stats, like flat attack is going to be better than attack percentage early on, because your base stats are really low. So make sure you're double checking what the bonuses are actually going to give you in comparison, because it can really make a big difference once you level this up and do the percentages depending on the level of your character. Very, very early, it's going to be better for lower, but maybe there's a certain threshold where all of a sudden the percentages mean more value. So just always test and take a look at what the bonus is going to give, and don't just assume the percentages are better. So some quick advice on the topic of dungeons and farming. The flame domain is the hardest by far. The ice domain, the frost, is the easiest. So it's definitely suggested to start with something that's going to allow you to farm if you really want to play your fire characters, you're not going to be able to farm it very easily, level 2 and level 3 even early on, because it's just a really hard dungeon unless you have a very strong cleanser, or manually do your battles to make sure you cleanse at the right time. So try to focus being able to farm the frost one early, because it's super easy, or even the Radiant and Lightning one isn't too bad. So this is going to give you the most This is going to give you the most trouble. So if you're feeling like you can, I can easily do level 2 on these two, but I can't even come close on level 3. It's just that boss and that burn explosion. So don't worry, it's not just you. It actually is really hard unless you're properly using a cleanse or a block debuffs. Now, the goblin layer is one of the most important things you're going to need to do throughout the whole early game process, throughout the whole process, period. So I have to say my best advice for choosing your characters, besides choosing things that make sense synergy-wise, is to pick AoE damage dealers. That's why I said I made the mistake. I really wanted to play Flora and Tunnelnon because I didn't play them last season. But when you're dealing with a bunch of single target hits, I mean, her passive kind of makes up for it, that the familiar, it does a lot of damage, but only once your wild team is really solid. I'm not going to use her early on. It just isn't making sense. I'm doing so much better now that I switched to a guy that's AoE, that has a ranged attack. Again, these are just so much more helpful. Voresh, full board, ranged attack. These are the things we need. And in the cases when I have I struggle with survivability, I leave my Traveler. And honestly, I've been leaving my Traveler. It don't matter. The Ice Traveler hits pretty hard and does a lot of damage single target. But you could switch back to Lightning or Fire for the sake of using Goblin and test and see which one is better. But sometimes I actually am still doing better with the Ice, I think because of the elemental bonuses we get. But keep that in mind when it comes to farming the Goblin layer, that you want just AoE damage period as much as you can. You don't need a healer, you don't need a tank, you just go in and smash, smash, smash if you want to be able to 3-star those stages. So picking some AoE damage dealers early on is going to be crucial for success. Now let's talk about the daily grind really quick. So I would say the best routine is to come in, click your map, go and do a couple arena battles so you're not fully capped with your 15 out of 15 arena. Then you don't want to be capped on your stamina either. So maybe take a look, come into your book here, see if you can do anything else as far as a grind goes. If you can't, maybe just go to the Goblin Dungeon. When in doubt, just farm potions. Go here, farm 1 or 2 levels for potions, and that way you're not capped on your stamina. And that way, while you're grinding out other stuff, you can start to slowly regenerate your stamina. It does regenerate really slowly, though. That's why I say do not overdo just blasting random stuff. But at least try not to be capped and take advantage of it as much as you can, or else you're going to have a really slow grind. So after you've done a battle so you're not fully capped at your stamina, done a battle so you're not capped at your arena, that's when you really want to go in and start progressing. So it's probably best to just quick go do your commissions every day. They're very easy and they give you a ton of rewards. After you're done with your commissions, you're going to want to check to see if you had something on your adventure log regarding the story or something else quick to finish up first so you can move on to another page. But if you this is part of the story, so I know the next thing I really need to do is go and progress my story to get to that point, and then I'll have my next page of requirements. So instead of trying to go farm some more elemental dungeons because I want to level someone up, no, I want to get to the next page in case the next page tells me to do that. So instead, I'm going to go push my story first today to make sure I am just kind of min-maxing my usage of time and my stamina, because when it comes to that, you only want to purchase one of these bad boys a day at most. It is expensive, and the stamina only gives you 60. It doesn't even refill. After this, it's 100, and then it just keeps getting more expensive. It's really terrible value to use your worm arrow for stamina beyond even just one little baby level 50. So I definitely don't suggest it, unfortunately. It's just a little bit of a more limited game. Maybe treat it more like a side game once you're caught up in the time-gatedness. But yeah, always go around, talk to NPCs. Even sometimes you'll notice when you have opened up new areas or done new things, if you go back to a big town like Arbortia, for example, you might come back to Arbortia and walk in, and all of a sudden there's some new side quests to try to do that weren't there before because you triggered something from an event that happened. So that sort of thing will happen a lot in this game after you've done especially major battles like fighting stuff that show up on the one step ahead event, which is our pre-registration rewards. After you fight these big things, people are talking about you. So you want to go back to cities and see if you trigger any new side quests along the way. And you'll be surprised at how much extra stuff you can get just by wandering around and talking to people again. But yeah, that pretty much covers it, guys. This is a really fun game. You can play quite a bit the first couple of days, but just be prepared for the way it's time-gated. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. And you can always just wander and double-check talking to people, gather resources, and farm a little bit that way. If you're bored or if you want to do more or start another account, join me for my free-to-play challenge that's happening starting the 25th. You know, just have some fun with me, come hang out, and I'm loving this game. I'm so happy it's back. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Let me know if you have any more questions in the comments below. But yeah, also just check my YouTube. I have in my YouTube channel, I have all of my previous channel stuff linked. So I have a playlist for Dragonheir. If you click this, you can see all of my videos, including the ones that are on my other channel that is now for Watcher of Realms. This channel has everything, which is from Season 0, but most of it is still the same. So some of it could be really helpful advice if you guys are stuck on certain quests or like, yeah, stuff to complete the Realm of the Deer thing from the camp. All sorts of videos there. So just give that a scroll if you haven't already. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. That's all for today's video for the beginner guide. It's a bit lengthy, but there's a lot to talk about. But if you haven't already, be sure to download the game using my link in the description or the pinned comments so they know I sent you. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I will be streaming live on Twitch quite a bit, so find me there as well. And I'll see you in the next video.